Welcome everyone today to our next, installment of our homegrown interview series, where today I am joined with the wonderful Kim, who is based, I believe, in Auckland, New Zealand. And I'm really excited to talk with Kim. Before we joined together, I was asking her a few questions about a couple of her businesses. So can't wait to share more information about, the evolution of these and all things life along the way. But before we get into that part, a bit of a short intro on Kim is that she is, believe it or not, one very busy woman, where I am certain that your motto in life must be, why have one business when you can have multiple or have many? As we're going to discover, she's the owner of the Chocolate Tour and also the personal insurance advisor at Kim Oliver Insurance Consulting. But before we get into it, Kim, thank you again so much for joining me today. Sharing, your story and business and life, and being part of the series where we have the opportunity to showcase that we're normal, everyday women, with goals and dreams and ambition, not only in business, but some have got from our series, whether that be in health or relationship or different areas, but really just kind of proving out there that everyone can have a goal and we're going to go out there and chase them and manage all the things along the way. Yep. So, Kim, I will hand it all over to you. Again, thank you for being here. And to get started, I'd love to know a little bit, if you could share a little bit about yourself, not only business, but also a little bit about, who you are and what you enjoy doing as well.
Sure. Thanks for having me. So my name is Kim Oliver, and I'm originally from the Netherlands in Europe. I came to New Zealand in 2010 just to travel, as you do, my OE, and kind of just fell in love with the Kiwi guy, loved the country. The culture is so different than in Europe. It's completely the opposite in a good way. And I just decided to stay and just kind of work my way through different industries, trying to find things that I enjoy doing. Then I started getting a really bad back injury, and it kind of forced me to move into more of an office role instead of like customer service, like tourism stuff that I was doing before, which I really loved. I love working with people. And kind of from there, it just snowballed into an insurance role, which I love doing. Came across a lot of obviously bad stories. There's a lot of bad stories out there about the insurance industry, and there's no wonder why, because a lot of things do go wrong. But it's mostly to do with how things were set up in the beginning, because people were being sold the wrong policies that weren't suitable for them. And that's why later down the track, things weren't working or claims weren't being paid and complaints were made. So by realizing that whole common issue really with all the things I was dealing with, I really wanted to be an advisor myself so that I could help people through that process, make sure they were set up properly in the beginning so they wouldn't face those issues later on down the track. And then, like you said, I also own the Chocolate Tour. So that is a business that I purchased mid last year, or mid 2019. It's only 7 days ago that it was last year. But yes, I purchased that business, absolutely love it. I mean, who couldn't love working with chocolate all day? And that business is really about providing happiness and joy and trying to make people try new things. It's not always about grabbing your standard bar of Whittaker's hazelnut, which I love from the supermarket, but also to try different things and broaden your horizon and experience new flavors, and supporting other New Zealand businesses. So that's what the Chocolate Tour does. We purchase chocolate from other New Zealand chocolate makers and chocolatiers, and we then package that into gift boxes and subscriptions for everyone to enjoy. So it's only New Zealand products that we deal with.
Yeah, which I love both parts of your businesses. Insurance is very important for life and business, and all things that may never happen, but sometimes do, and to be prepared for that. And of course, chocolate. As you said, who doesn't love chocolate? And a subscription to, force you out of your comfort zone of your normal Whittaker's, hazelnut or Morrow's or whatever. So I love that. I love both of these. So Kim, what inspired you to buy the chocolate tour? Like, what kind of led you to go, why not have another business? Because one business just isn't enough. Or at that time, you had two businesses. So this was going to be your third.
Yes. To be honest, I wasn't supposed to buy the chocolate tour. um, I had only really started the conversation with the previous owner as a way of gathering information as to how the subscription model works, and just being curious in general. Because I knew this person, and I was like, well, what is the business that you're selling? Like, yeah, just being curious. And from there, it kind of snowballed into, I could actually do this. Like, this is actually a proper business. I could do this. I love this. And then, talking to my husband, and he was surprisingly supportive. I did hire a business coach to do like a devil's advocate session. Like, I hired her specifically to really talk me out of it, to really make sure that I knew what I was getting myself into. I was prepared. And yeah, it just made me feel more confident about the decision and the investment that I was making. Yeah, so really it wasn't supposed to happen, but it happened, and I'm loving it.
Awesome. I love it. I love that. So you've got your two businesses, and then of course you've got a husband. No doubt you have a social life. So how do you go about, I guess, juggling or managing all of the things, especially, I guess making sure that you can have a fairly balanced or some work-life balance in there?
I guess it comes down for me for time blocking. So in my calendar, I have different color codes for when it's like a business, like a meeting, like I have to go see someone and physically be somewhere or do something. And then I have a different color for like reminders, like I need to email this person, or I need to call this person, or like things that don't have to be done that day or that minute, but they do have to be done that week. And then a different color for any personal stuff. So like I do some volunteering on a horse farm, so that's a different color. If I'm going to meet a friend for coffee, that's a different color. Just so that I can kind of see with one glance, how is my week looking? Can I manage to put anything else in there, or do I need to move it to a different week? I did really, really struggle with the time management in the beginning, because being self-employed wasn't really my plan yet. I had planned to do it later on, but due to a health issue, I was forced to do it quite earlier. So I hadn't fully prepared myself, just kind of dove right in. But yeah, I think the time blocking has been really essential to me, to just kind of feel like I'm in some sort of control.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really love that suggestion, Kim. I think I'm very visual as well, so I have a very similar kind of process. I talk to a lot of women who are either starting a business, so they still have their part-time or full-time job on the go, and then trying to get the side hustle kind of up and going. It can be very overwhelming, or have kind of transitioned out, and they're kind of overcommitting, because we're very good at that when we've got full-time or part-time paying jobs, of having to do all the things. And I guess, and then even some going on to kind of be like you, to have multiple businesses, and then going, oh my gosh, what was I kind of thinking? So I really love the way that you've suggested that, and, kind of have some flexibility, but also some structure in there as well. So it's kind of like flexible structure really, but visually being
Yeah.
able to see it, so you don't get yourself into a great big spin, which I know I've done in the past, and I know many others kind of do. So
Yeah, for me, it's also about making things visual. I'm quite a visual person.
yeah,
So being able to open my calendar and just visually seeing I've got too many spots taken, or I've got a lot of empty space, for example, like it kind of allows me straight away to feel like I'm able to make more commitments, or I need to be realistic and say, actually, I'm full this week. I need to move you to next week. And people are okay with that, as long as you're upfront and say, I have got time for you, but not until next week, or something like that. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, I love it. It's awesome. So I guess you've got a couple of businesses, and I would be interested to know, maybe you can either do one for each, or you can just select one that comes to mind, entirely up to you. But what would you say, I guess, has been one of your biggest challenges that you have faced, over the last couple of years as you've gone into self-employment, growing a business, and then taking on another?
There's a few. I guess the main thing would have been managing my health issues in my personal life while trying to set up these businesses and run them and learn. There's so much learning involved. So that's kind of like an overall challenge, and it's ongoing. Like, you're never going to stop struggling with it, I think. But the more you learn, the better you're going to feel about it. And I guess for the insurance, the main issue is there is a massive stigma about the industry, that it's all, middle-aged men in suit and tie that are going to show up to your door and sell you something. As well, I'm the complete opposite. I'm like late 20s, female. I don't wear suits and ties. I don't even wear heels. I'm really not what people expect when I do show up for the meeting. But I find that people like it. Like, once they meet me and they get a chance to talk to me, they actually prefer it because they feel more relaxed with me. Because of my background in the insurance industry before I became an advisor, I can give them a lot more information about how the process itself works, not just about, okay, this is what I'm going to sell you, but actually how does it work in reality and long term. And obviously, you're always going to be learning. The insurance industry changes constantly. We've got some massive legislation changes coming up this year. But yeah, just stay educated, stay informed, and you'll be fine. With the chocolate business, the main challenge is taking over a business that was already running. So you're taking over a business that someone else has created according to their goals and dreams and desires. They've set up a following, they've set up a website, and everything else is done. And you come in and you're like, well, now it's my business, but it doesn't feel like my business yet. And that was my main struggle in the beginning. It didn't feel like my business. So again, I work with a coach that helped me to kind of go through everything that was set up and see, okay, how can we tweak it to make it feel mine? And that was really important for me before I started doing any big marketing or any strategic planning. I had to feel like it was my business.
Yeah. I think what you've really highlighted there, Kim, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I guess, what you found is in both businesses, that you had to make it align to you, authentically you, in order to be able to move forward. You mentioned that the insurance, is very male-based, suits, sales, and it didn't feel like you. So you had to authentically show up, and you've reaped the rewards of that, of people being like, oh, you're a really great person and you're a normal human being. And you actually have my best interest at heart because you're real. And it's kind of the same in the chocolate tour, slightly different because obviously it's a different type of business, but again, brought on a new business and had to make it yours so that you could authentically show up so that you could move both of them forward. So, and I think that is really relatable in terms of a challenge, to, especially in this day and age, and if you're setting up a business with online marketing and having to find who you are authentically to be able to drive that business instead of getting caught up in all of the hoo-ha that everyone else is doing. And that's a great challenge that you've kind of highlighted. So obviously you worked with someone to help you get around that and put different tools or strategies in place to be able to help you move forward.
Definitely. And I'm actually about to start work with a different coach again, to put together a proper strategy for 2020. And the reason why I'm working with different coaches is because they do all have their own specialties. They have their own area that they are really, really good in, they're really strong in. And you kind of have to choose, why do you want to work with a coach, and then find someone that can actually do that, not just work with a coach because you like them, because there's plenty of coaches in my network that I really love, but they might just not do exactly what I need from them at that particular moment in time.
Yeah, absolutely. which is a great piece of advice. And I've spoken to another person previously in a different interview around looking for coaches, and that, you know, very broad names, you know, it could be a business coach or a health coach or a relationship coach, but to delve deeper to find out what their actual specialty is, because not all coaches are the same. Like, you know, it's like a piece of diamond. Not all diamonds at the jewelers are exactly the same, or, you know, different types of, you know, other things out there. And it really is, I guess, about going, right, what is my challenge? And what am I wanting to get out of working with someone, and who is the best person to help me? I very much think about business like relationships. So I kind of say, if you wouldn't choose, you know, someone to be your life partner, then it's not that you're asking a coach to be your life partner, but you're looking for that, you know, I guess values match as well as problem solving match to ensure that you get your outcome and you get to move forward and everyone's happy. So
Definitely.
yeah. So talking about advice, I know you just gave a great tip, but I'm going to ask you for one more and be cheeky. Um, we've got, I guess, two different types of women who come along and they join in and watch our interviews. One is the amazing woman who is a high achiever, very career driven, is looking to either start a part-time business for themselves for more flexibility or income, or they're looking to grow it into a full-time thing. And then the other has started or is working in their business full-time, and they're just being hit with lots of challenges, and they're going, oh my gosh, can I really do this? It would just be easier to go back to my job. As you know, we can all say we've all thought it more than once.
Oh, yes.
But I'd love to know, I guess, first up, what would be one key piece of advice that you would offer someone who was wanting or thinking about starting a business?
I would say be realistic.
That's a tough
Just,
one.
yeah, I mean, it is tough. And the reason why I'm saying it is because I haven't always been realistic. I'm the kind of person that can really fall down the rabbit hole on something I'm passionate about and something I really feel that I want to be doing. Um, and that kind of is what happened with my other business that is no longer a business now. It was a passion of mine. It's something I love doing, but realistically, there were so many people doing the same thing in my area. It was so much competition. I was never going to make money off it, never, because I couldn't charge for what the product was actually worth, because I chose to manufacture the product in a unique way that was different to my competitors, but it just wasn't viable long term.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. Yeah, be realistic. Like, do some market research.
Right.
It doesn't have to cost you anything. You know, just Google who are your competitors in the area. What do they do? What do you like about them? What do you not like about them? What would you do differently? Like, what would make a customer choose you over someone else? And just do your own research like that before you even talk to a coach. Like, talking with a coach is really helpful, but before you even get to that stage and spend money, do your own research as well. And just, yeah, be realistic.
Do you think that's relatable to service-based businesses as well?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean, even with my insurance, that's a service-based business. One of the main struggles in there is that I'm not allowed to charge my clients. My advice is given for free, regardless or not if the client proceeds with me or not, because we get paid commission by the insurance companies. You know, realistically, I really struggle to project my income and to, you know, plan for my income ahead, because I don't know what it's going to be. Every client's going to be different value if you look at it that way. But yeah, I mean, there's other measurements that you can look at then, instead of saying, okay, well, I want to earn X amount of money this year, which I can't predict. Instead, you can say, okay, well, how many clients can I realistically sign up every month, for example? Like, I know how much time it takes approximately per client to get them a suitable policy and to get them signed up, and all the paperwork, and all the hours that go into the preparation of that. I can say, okay, well, if I've got X amount of days a month available to work on my insurance business, that means that realistically I can get X amount of clients. So when you set your goals, regardless of what kind of business you have, you've got to find a way of measuring your own success in a realistic way.
Yeah, completely agree. I was actually reading an article just before, maybe a couple months ago, around startups and why they fail. And there's a really big perception out there that startups fail because of cash flow. And yes, some do. And and then I went on to read that 80% of startups actually fail because of due to market research. So
Mm,
we're often led to believe it's because of money, whereas it's like, well, actually it's because we haven't done the market research to start with, which of course then leads to probably a cash flow problem.
yeah.
And it's very important that, if you are going to start a business, then look at what, as you mentioned, what else is out there, look at your competitors, what's your unique selling point going to be, what price are you going to be, charging if it's a product or even a service base, is that viable? Talk to people, and then you'll have confidence and certainty when you start going to market that you can do it, which saves you a whole bunch of overwhelm at the start, which many kind of people go through. So that's
Definitely.
really awesome. And I love your advice on a service-based business as well, is we can't control the outcome, but we
Mm,
can control how many people we talk to.
yeah.
Um, and I guess measure that as a KPI as opposed to money, because otherwise you're going to get very frustrated if you are
Yeah.
touching to that part of it, which you can't control, as you kind of mentioned, and sounds even harder in that insurance place because you really have no control. So great. Well, thank you. And my other piece of advice I'd be looking for would be for that woman who, we've just entered a new year, a new decade. They're really challenged. They're about to get back into, face all the challenges that they left before Christmas or New Year's. And I guess, they're really kind of questioning whether this is the right path for them. Do you have any advice for that woman as to, what to either do or how to kind of break through that, whatever it is that's presenting her?
Um, to be honest, I'm kind of in that stage at the moment where it's like, it's a new year. I've gone through so much last year. Is it worth doing it all again? That kind of feeling. Um, and for me, as soon as I booked my strategy planning sessions with this new coach, I felt so much better because I knew that I was going to have someone there to help me figure out, okay, how am I going to tackle 2020? What are the things I want to be doing, and how am I going to achieve those? So not saying you have to hire a coach because I know it's expensive and I saved up for it all last year. But yeah, just having someone to talk things through with. Don't keep it all in your own mind. Like actually put it on paper. Like what I did is I created a wish list. So when I'm meeting with my coach next week, I'm going to show up with a list of projects and things that I want to do next year, and that she's then going to have to make me fit into a schedule. But it kind of like it gets it out of my head. Like I had a whiteboard on my wall here that was covered in sticky notes from last year of things that I wanted to be working on, but I didn't have time. So I've put it on a list now. We're going to work through it. We're going to say, okay, realistically, what can I achieve this year? And if I want to achieve these things, then when do I need to start the prep work? When do I need to do each step in the process to get the end result I'm hoping for? And I'm thinking in projects. I'm not thinking of final income numbers or anything because I just don't think like that. So I'm really thinking of, okay, what projects do I want to do? How do I achieve those within a reasonable time frame? And if I do all those projects, that will lead to the ultimate goal of having an income.
Yes.
So that's kind of how I approach things. Um, Last year, I didn't have the money for a coach for strategic planning like I'm doing for this year. But what I did is I just got together with a couple of other businesswomen in my area, and we kind of just helped support each other. We came together a few times a month. We called it our accountability group, and we talked through things we wanted to achieve that month and steps to take, and got each other's feedback on, is it realistic? Why are you doing this? Can you do this? How are you going to do this? Like, yeah, really keeping each other accountable, and that was really good. So this year I'm kind of just, yeah, going the next step up from that version, but I found it really helpful to talk to other people about what I was trying to achieve.
Yeah, very important. If you're feeling like all is lost, find someone who gets it and get
Yeah.
some support, because most of the time that is what's happening. It's all in here and it's stuck and it's hard to see the road ahead. Whereas if you start talking about it to people that understand, it does definitely get easier. You can start, as you mentioned, put some planning in place to help you get to where you want to go, as
Yeah,
opposed to I'm not where I want to be, but yet I don't know how to get there. So
exactly. And yeah, once I booked the sessions, I was so much more relieved and relaxed. I was like, okay, I don't know where I'm going, but I'm getting help. And on this date, I will talk to someone who will help me figure this all out. So that was a really good feeling for me, just finding someone that can help you figure things out. Yeah.
awesome, thanks. Now, Kim, the name of the series is, of course, Homegrown. So it's Australian and New Zealand women sharing stories on life and business and challenges and all the things in between. And it's also, I guess, about really showcasing champions of change. So that doesn't necessarily mean everyone wants to go out there and change the world. It can be just one small part of their life that they're wanting to change and do differently, but they're not sitting around waiting for the right time. They are being the champion of change to go out there and take action. But I'm curious to know from you, what does championing change mean to you?
Um, I guess for me, it would be like standing up for other people as well as for yourself. Things that you value, you need to make sure people hear you, make sure your voice is heard. Um, and I guess that really comes through in the insurance for me because I'm doing things very differently than the traditional insurance advisor because of my experience with the industry. I feel that what I'm doing is the right way of doing things. And I'm being very vocal about that with everyone I talk to. Um, yeah, so I think that's championing change, like make sure that if you think it's important enough to say it, that it is being heard.
And my final thing would be, I guess, for anyone who has joined us and watched our time together and is interested to know, I guess, more about insurance, maybe they're very fascinated by the chocolate tour subscription, or maybe they've just resonated with your story and they'd love to reach out for a little bit of advice. How would be best, I guess, to kind of reach you?
I'd say the Facebook pages. I'm constantly on Facebook, a lot more than I should be. Um, but yeah, that is how I connect with people, and I love it. So yeah, the Facebook page, the chocolate tour. I'm always on there, and Kim Oliver Insurance Consulting on Facebook as well. That's my insurance page. Just flick me a message, and we can chat. Yeah.
Great. Well, Kim, thank you again for joining me. Like, this has just been great hearing about the two different parts of your business, obviously very different, but also, the challenges that you have been facing and that you've overcome, and, just really authentically sharing that and being very honest about what they have been for others out there that either might come across them or who currently are, to kind of help and empower them or inspire them to move through. So thank you so much again for your time. It's been absolutely amazing. And as Kim mentioned, I will post, of course, the links below in the comments so that anyone can reach out. Otherwise, have a wonderful afternoon, and thank you again.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me.